Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So we're going to look at tokens today. Obviously not investment advice, any of this sort of stuff. Do your own research, all the usual sort of caveats. But starting off, often I think looking at these token prices and what's going on. Obviously, a lot of activity at the moment, lots of things going up. And I guess if you're like me, you look at something like CoinGecko. So this is a CoinGecko website, and I've created a sort of a portfolio tracker for various game tokens here. And you can sort of dial in the information here, the price and what's been happening every hour, every 24 hours, every 7 days, the market cap, last 7 days. The holdings are not my holdings, so I won't pretend. I just put in a random number when I create this portfolio, just to sort of get a tracker in time over a longer period of time. So this is not my bags. This is just everything I've got in, everything I'm just tracking in games. But having looked at this this sort of stuff for a long time, and looking at tokens sort of pretty much all the time to see what's going on, or trying to get some signals about what's going on, I think sometimes we can get lost in the noise of just like too much data, and sometimes we need to sort of reset these numbers in a better format. So that's what I'm looking at today, just a different way of looking at these numbers. And hopefully it'd be helpful just to sort of get your head around the structure of these things. So I think sometimes I find I get really lost in the weeds of where what these tokens are, how much they're going up, how much they're worth, blah blah blah. Okay, so what I've done here is I've created a new graph. So this is just in a spreadsheet that I've created here. Really simple. Couldn't be any more simple, really. So what I've done basically is so this is 0, and this is $100 million market cap. This is $200 million, $300 million, 400, 500. You sort of get the idea. I've just put in the ones where their tokens are, and I've just sort of color coded them as well, just to sort of give an idea about how long they've been around. So the interesting thing is that the vast majority of, when we look at these games portfolio tokens, it's all these games and all these different sort of projects, and it's all really exciting. But in absolute terms, which is what I'm trying to do here, most of the tokens we look at sit in this sort of, I'm not even putting them in this slot here. So between 0 and $100 million of market cap. So obviously $100 million is a lot of money. If I was running a blockchain game project that had a market cap of $100 million, I'd probably be pretty happy. But in the big scheme of things, obviously that's not really very much. And in this bit of the market here, we just see loads of volatility. Quite small buying or selling activities can really change the price of a token quite a lot. So in some ways, I think when we're thinking about the sort of the overall blockchain gaming sector, we should probably not worry about those. I mean, do your own research. There's probably some tokens are going to do really well in that sort of section here from 0 to 100. But the vast majority aren't. The vast majority are going to fail, because the vast majority of everything in blockchain is going to fail, and the vast majority of blockchain games are going to fail. And when I say fail, I don't mean they're not going to be good games. I just mean they're not going to get enough audience for them to have a sustaining economy. And that's sort of the end goal, what we're looking for in this sector, I think. So I've pulled up all the ones that are basically $100 million market cap or over. So we have SLP from Axie, you have YGG, Yield Guild Gaming, the Axie Guild back in the day, GOG, Guild of Guardians, a forthcoming game from Immutable, Alice, My Neighbor Alice, XPLA from Come To Us. So this is the blockchain, this is a game, this is a game, this is a guild, this is an in-game currency for Axie. And you can sort of see the time frames here. So the vast majority of stuff is happening. Actually, these are quite old tokens. Certainly 2021 was a popular time to release tokens because that was the last bull market. So even in this case, I mean, these are still, we can still think that these are sort of fairly small, $100 million of market cap. This one's not really live yet. XPLA as a blockchain. Alice has been up and down. GOG has been around as a token, but the game's not even live yet. Game's coming out sort of later this year. So some of these tokens have launched a long time ago and sort of been waiting for utility from that point of view. Next lot up. So every time we're going up another $100 million. So we have Oasis, again, another blockchain. So that stuff's not really live on that. So obviously people tend to price blockchains or think blockchains can have more value than individual games. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Maybe it's obviously the one that's just launched. So that's the only one in 2024. It just shot up sort of a little bit out of nowhere. And that goes to show the just the trajectory some of these projects can have if everyone piles in. So it went up to about $9. It's back down to about, I don't know, 6 or 7 now. And then we have Big Time as well, another game that's been in development for a while. They launched their token last year. Coming up bigger, $300 million market cap. Now we have Prime, so this is a pretty hardcore trading card game, and some other games coming out using that sort of assets. So that's Prime Token and Magic, which is another whole sort of blockchain gaming infrastructure running on Arbitrum. So these are quite crypto heavy, sort of OG insiders really like these ones. They sit there. Then all the time we're going up. So we have GMT, which is the token for Stepan and Gas Hero. So this is from Find Satoshi Lab. And this is their sort of token for all their games and projects and NFTs and all this sort of stuff. Engine's sort of really interesting one, been around since actually 2017, so I've not color-coded it. So really one of the first blockchain gaming platforms, never really found any traction. Now is doing stuff on Polkadot. It's still $400 million. I mean, I think this is one of the things to notice, that things that have been around the longest tend to have the most value, and I guess that's partly survivor bias. So the ones that aren't around now have sort of failed, and these ones was maybe a little bit right place, right time in 2020. But the longer you've been around, sort of the harder it is for you to sort of die off in a sense as well. But maybe these ones are not going to have the massive trajectory of the newer ones. We'll see. $600 million now. ILV Illuvium token. So that's a 2021 era token. So that's that Illuvium is actually sort of 3 games and some NFT collections and a whole sort of bunch of stuff again running on the Illuvium, the immutable blockchain, should say. So again, that's sort of a game that's it's starting to come out now. There's 3 games. There's different opinions on how well that sort of project is gonna do, because it's been around for a long time. It's taken them a while to get some of the games out, and it's still not out yet. So we'll see. Next lot up, we're getting up to $1 billion here, $800 million. So we have Ron, the token for the blockchain for Axie Infinity and Pixels and some other ones. So this is like Ron, like XPLA, like Oasis, and these are blockchains, L1 blockchains. So people value those maybe in slightly different ways. Gala, sort of an L2 blockchain now. I treat it a little bit like a meme coin, to be honest. So maybe I would probably do your own research and everything, but I would say the best days of Gala are probably behind it. The two founders are suing each other over the money. Not really any successful games launched on Gala. Seems to have, anyway. And then we get up to the $1 billion ones. So we have Axie AXS token from Axie Infinity, and the governance token for that game. Interestingly, still higher than the Ron token. We can sort of have arguments about whether the underlying blockchain that this game's running on should be more or less. I guess that will sort itself out in due course. Sand from the Sandbox, obviously, again another game that's been around for a while. So these ones here, grey. These are. Been around for a while and have sort of proven some product market fit, even if they haven't been as successful maybe as their arch bull advocates would say. And then we have this interesting one, Beam. So Beam's actually an old token in the sense that it's the old Merit Circle token, which came out, I think, 2021, 2022. And then Merit Circle has been created, has been sort of switched. So Merit Circle was originally like a guild, like YGG. Then it sort of switched into a more of a investment vehicle. And now it's doing infrastructure as well. And Beam is their sort of L2 running on Ethereum, running on Avalanche, and for some reason Immutable as well. That's been a massive success. So $1.3 billion worth of market cap on this, all-time high at the moment for Beam. And that's a sort of a new token that came out last year, but Merit Circle's been around for a while. So that's a sort of a interesting one. Again, this is I guess I say a little bit like Beam is a little bit like Ron. This is sort of, not an L1, but it's sort of a gaming ecosystem. There's a bit of Magic's sort of the same thing as well, and Prime's maybe trying to position itself a bit like that. So we can sort of get an idea. There's some of these down here worth hundreds of millions. Beam is worth 1.3. This is 13 times more. So putting this out in this sort of absolute number, I think sort of helps you try and get your head around the positioning of these things. They're not just in a line under each other. You start to get an idea of the difference here. One thing if you're very canny, and we've mentioned them a few times, you probably notice there's one project missing, and this is my big sort of a ha reveal. So Immutable is not on here, and so Immutable is worth a lot, so we can sort of see it is here, so we have to sort of go up quite a bit. So Beam's $1.3 billion market cap, and there we have Immutable right up here. So if you're doing this out in $100 million steps, Immutable is $4 billion now. It's actually almost like a top 30 crypto in general. So $4 billion. Again, it's sort of interesting in the sense that there's not really any games on its new ecosystem yet. Its new ZK EVM is not live yet. So, but obviously, when people think gaming is sort of big, they're thinking about maybe individual games. But Immutable as a sort of infrastructure for all games. Or potentially all the games running on its own ecosystem, and we have these interesting discussions with them about how many games they've got, and it's up to, I don't know what it is, 260 I think is the current total that they're quoting. We don't know a lot of those titles. We've got about 80 titles I think that we can track. So it's a bit of a discontinuation there, but in terms of where we are, even with something like the RON token here at $800 million. with the most popular blockchain game on it at the moment, Immutable's right up here with $4 billion. So one last thing to quickly look at is I've taken these tokens, and you also have this idea of the total supply. So most tokens now will have an idea of how many tokens can be created, and then there's how many tokens are actually out in circulation now. And there's some idea, again, do your own research sort of thing, but there's some idea that obviously the fewer tokens are out there now, the more are going to come. And there's some idea that you're sort of, everything's going to get diluted and the price is probably going to be more impacted. So big time is the only 8% of the potentially total 5 billion tokens for big time are out. So there's a lot more tokens to come, sort of thing. Obviously, by the time you get to 100% of your tokens out, then there's no more being issued, so there's no deflation in there, and just people are using them, and it's more. But that's not a factor that there's more tokens coming out in the overall price. Obviously, there's lots of other reasons why a token will be priced more or less, not how much token is circulating, but it's one idea. So interesting, Alice is up to 88% of its 100 million tokens. Beam's interesting for various reasons because it's sort of been recreated from the Merit Circle token, but actually even though it's just come out fairly recently, actually 82%. Engine has been around for ages, but still 79%. Sand, 75% of Sand is now out. I think actually it's a little bit higher than that when we were looking at it. So these are figures from CoinGecko, so I'm not quite sure how accurate they are. I think Sand's actually up higher than that. Magic 75, but then these ones sort of down here are the sort of the ones to be maybe just be a little bit aware of. Ron's maybe an interesting one. Only 30% of the circulating total out there now. So anything under here, anything under a half, you maybe go, well, there's half the token still to come out. It's interesting, AXX token, only 50%, 51% is circulating. So it's just something to be aware of. But I think the other thing to be aware of is, one, when you get things up here, how much bigger can they get? If you're $4 billion, I mean, obviously Ethereum's $300 million, but how do you equate Immutable to Ethereum? And also interesting, I think, around here, that most of the stuff, as I say, is just in this box here. Most of the stuff is sort of irrelevant to the bigger crypto picture, and these are the ones that, for various reasons, are worth something. Some of them are going up and some of them are going down, and I think it's just sometimes good to get the scale of how big and how small some of these things are. Anyway, hope that was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel and see you next time.